Welcome to my database. Today, let's discuss about mathematics to a full syllabus. So before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon. Let's go. So mathematics 2A syllabus is totally divided into two parts. The first part is the algebra and the second one is probability. So in algebra we have few chapters, namely complex numbers, De Moivre's theorem, quadratic equations, theory of equations, and permutations and combinations, and partial fractions. So in order to gain a detailed clarification of complete syllabus, let's have a look at them. So complex numbers consists of these following syllabus. Complex numbers as an ordered pair of real numbers, that is the fundamental operations, and representation of complex numbers in the form of a plus ib, and modulus and amplitude of complex numbers, illustrations, and geometrical and polar representation of complex numbers in organ plane with organ diagram, and De Moivre's theorem, second chapter. In this chapter, we learn about De Moivre's theorem, their integral and rational indices, nth roots of unity, that is geometrical interpretations and illustrations. Third chapter. In this chapter, we learn about quadratic expressions and equations in one variable, sign of quadratic expressions, that is change in signs, maximum and minimum values, and quadratic inequations. Fourth chapter. In this chapter, we learn about the relation between the root and coefficient in an equation, solving the equations when two or more roots of it are connected to it by a certain relation, equation with real coefficients, occurrence of complex roots in conjugate pair and its consequences, transformation of equations, that is reciprocal equations. So, fifth chapter. In this chapter, we learn about fundamental principle of counting, linear and circular permutations, permutations of n dissimilar things taken r at a time, permutations when repetitions allowed, circular permutations, permutations with constrained repetitions, combinations that are definitions and certain theorems. Next chapter, binomial theorem. In this chapter, we learn about binomial theorem for positive integral index, binomial theorem for rational index, that is without proof, approximations using binomial theorem. Next chapter. In this chapter, we learn about partial fractions of f of x by g of x when g of x contains non-repeated linear factors, partial fractions of f of x by g of x when g of x contains repeated and or non-repeated linear factors, partial fractions of f of x and g of x when g of x contains irreducible factors. So that's all about the first part of the mathematics 2A syllabus. So we'll move on to the second one. In this second one, the probability. Probability consists of measures of dispersion and probability and random variables and probability distributions. So let's have a detailed look at it. In measures of dispersion, we learn about the range, mean deviation, variance and standard deviation of ungrouped and grouped data, coefficient of variation and analysis of frequency distribution with equal means of but different variances, and the main chapter and the important chapter, probability. In this chapter, we learn about random experiments and events, classical definition of probability, axiomatic approach and addition theorem of probability, independent and dependent events, conditional probability, that is multiplication theorem and Bayes theorem, which are very important for us to learn in this chapter. And moving on to the last chapter, random variables and probability distributions. In this chapter, we learn about the basics of random variables and theoretical discrete distributions. Those are binomial and Poisson distribution. So that's all about this mathematics 2A syllabus. Let's have a look at the complete paper pattern and the model paper. Here is the model paper of mathematics 2A. So let's have a look at the paper pattern. So this question paper consists of 3 sections, A, B and C, where section A consists of very short answer questions and section B consists of short answer type questions, and section C consists of long answer type questions. So in section A, you will be given 10 questions and each question carries 2 marks and you have to answer all of them. So totally 10 into 2, 20 marks. Coming to section B, you will be given 7 questions and you have to answer any 5 questions and each question carries 4 marks. So 5 into 4, 20 marks. And section C, here also you will be given 7 questions and in that 7 questions you have to answer any 5 questions and each question carries 7 marks. So 5 into 7, 35 marks. So totally 20 marks plus 20 marks plus 35 marks is equal to 75 marks. So all these questions are set according to the weightage given to the subject. So each chapter contains some weightage. So I will explain the weightage and I will give the full details when I explain these chapters in detail. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon for further updates.